Alright guys, so you saw me do a little goof around draggy pass there. I wasn't running very good, so I could only get into it maybe like half throttle. Oh, you could, if you really listen to the video, you could hear me feathering it there a little bit. Um, like a 2.5 60 foot, just messing around. It was pretty funny actually, but I posted a video saying it was down like 250 horsepower. It's probably true because it's about the same horsepower as the 305 right now. So um, I'm going to, I'm pretty confident that it just doesn't have enough timing in it. That's probably like 90% of the problem because it ran fine when I parked it. So, other than the valve timing issues or whatever there, but I think we got the valve issues sorted as good as they're going to get with these heads. I don't know what else to really do with them. Um, but, anyways, I'm going to pull one spark plug here and I'm going to see what it looks like and decide if I'm going to change the plugs. I might just change the plugs just for the heck of it. They're not that expensive, but um, and then probably need some clips to keep it from touching the headers, which actually, make sure, check that right now actually. Yeah, it looks like it was kind of just about touching the header there. We didn't burn up. Oh, it did start to burn up one already. Ah, that's super lame. Well, anyways, you saw me put those new wires on there and it's obviously being a problem now, so I'm gonna have to get some clips for them. Didn't even barely drive it at all. Thought I had them all kind of tucked away good enough, but so instead of pulling the distributor, well, the first thing I'm gonna do is check the plugs, and then I might move the wires over one so that because the vacuum canister is hitting the intake. So technically, if you move the plug wires over one, it doesn't matter which number one is. One can be any of them. You can have one in the back, one in the front, whatever, as long as it's at top dead center when it hits one, right? So that's a common misconception. I think everybody thinks because the factory number one was at the front, kind of on the driver's side, everybody always thinks that it has to be there, but it can be wherever as long as when it fires, it's firing on one, right? So I'm going to pull a plug here and we'll see if we can see if it's flooding or not. I'm pretty sure this engine's running rich. You can even smell it a little bit. And I know when I bought this carb, I never rejetted it, and it had some like huge jets in it that were way too big for this because it came off of like a low 11-second car, maybe even tens at that time. I forget exactly, but it would be some pretty big jets. So I don't have an AFR gauge in this car. Probably won't put one in with this engine. It's just I'm just really getting it running just to goof around a little bit before we actually pull it apart again and just paint it or whatever, but nothing too serious here. So let's get at it. All right, there's not very much room to work in this garage, but show you guys what I can show you here. Start with number one, pull that plug out. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think now that I'm realizing it, I believe I need a wrench for this because I don't think I can get a ratchet in there. Maybe. I may be able to. Here I am using my car as a parts holding tray. See, that's what happens when you have a car that doesn't have a nice paint, then you're not really worrying about it like you should be. All right, I gotta find a wrench for this. I talked about this in the last video, I think, where it's got like the socket. I'm actually using the one that's not gonna break it today. But you can just put the wrench on the end of it like that. That'll get you this car has actually got decent plug access, but it's got angled plugs, which I think with these headers just happen to work out perfect. If it was straight, it might be a problem here, actually. I actually don't even know if you could get a plug wire on there without it burning. That's annoying that my brand new plug wire burnt through already. I don't even have a spare, and if I don't have the yellow ones, frick. Excel, send me some plug wires. See, there's nothing wrong with it if you look at it. It's burning like exactly how it should be. So, I mean, I could pull some more just to see for the heck of it here, but obviously it's burning totally clean, so it's not like it's misfiring or something like that. Probably is on the freaking wire that I just burnt through now. That was really stupid. I thought I had them all tucked away. That's really annoying. I moved it actually before we even drove it because I thought that one was actually close there. Super annoying. And my front intake's leaking. I was teasing Freiberger there. I said I copied him and Steve Dulcich there. They never use intake gaskets, and I've never done that when I didn't use it. When I put this intake on here not very long ago, I didn't use the front and rear gaskets, and that's the only time I've ever had them leak. So I'm not going to be doing that again. They must know something I don't know about how much RTV to use or some whatever way that they did it, but it did not work for me. Probably pull one more plug on this side just to see. Yeah. Man, I can't believe I burnt my wire up. That's annoying. Excel, been running your wires for 30 years. Can you send me some more, please? Oh. All right, check number 3. Sometimes it's just as easy to use the wrench on them instead of the ratchet. All right. Unless the carb is having issues, and it's possible because when I sold it briefly there, I'm pretty sure the guy, I would actually be, to be honest, I'd be surprised if he even put premium in it. That's what I was kind of worried about this engine for a little bit there, but I should compression test it. But I mean, yeah, see, these plugs are just like, I mean, they're as good as it gets. So maybe we'll have something figured out here yet once I switch the wires over. So that's going to be a gigantic pain. Hope it's tight to get in here. Man, that's annoying. Frick. Now I'm going to have to tape it. You're going to see black tape on my nice brand new yellow Excel wires that I was so proud of. All right. So I'm thinking here, if you need to, so if you're turning it, and so maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll probably be like, probably won't run very good. But if you need, like right now, I've got it turned counterclockwise, and it's hitting. It's hitting on the distributor. The distributor canister is hitting the intake, so it can't go any further. And it barely starts with, like, that's why it just doesn't have enough timing. That's why it's like so lazy, right? You guys saw that pass there. So then if you need more counterclockwise, then you move your plug wires one over counterclockwise, if I'm right, which I should be, I think. So I'm gonna grab a pair of pliers here. Sorry, a little off-camera cameo here. But take the air cleaner off here. What I should do is start it once and at least have it running and warm. Yeah, that'll be burning myself with my look. Man, I can't believe I freaking wrecked my new wires. That's really annoying. I don't think I have any spare Excels. I did for the longest time there, but finally threw them all out. I'm like, man, if I burn out a wire, I'm going to buy a new set. Well, I just bought this set. I didn't even drive it one time. Drove it for 15 minutes and freaking burn out the wires. Sometimes somebody does dumb things. I was in a rush to make a video that day because I've been so far behind because I've had so many like little hiccups with my truck and getting stranded and all this stuff. So I've had very, very little time. So I was trying to get a video together the day. So I said I knew it wasn't going to be fast and it wasn't even running right. I could tell when it started, it was almost like misfiring, but it wasn't misfiring. It just didn't have enough timing in it. So, and I know this car like the back of my hand. Like I think I've set the timing once with the actual timing light. And a guy came over last time I was at the track. He's like, "What's timing set to?" I was like, He's like, "You don't check it?" I was like, "I can just tell just to listen to it because I'm driving it so much." And so he pulled out his timing light and checked it, and it was like right at 34. But that's where these heads like to run. And you could tell it. If you put too much in it, you'll know. But I'm not saying you shouldn't use a timing light because that's the smart thing to do. But I actually that's what happened. I had bought a brand new timing light that time at that race. Didn't even use it. I plugged it in and I freaking wasn't paying attention, and I melted the cord on the headers. And so yeah, that was the end of that. So, but anyways, the front intake's leaking on this too. I reached in when I first put it on. It was leaking in the back, so I just reached in there and RTV'd it, which is the wrong thing to do, but it stopped that. But now the front is leaking really bad too, so it's gonna have to come apart. Should probably paint this intake. It's like from all this fuel spilled on it over the years, it's like starting to look pretty yellow. So anyways, all right, well, we'll try to move all these wires over one and see if that rectifies the problem here. All right, I'm gonna try to start this thing up here and see if it runs like it should with a little, oh, better put this back on. Put a little oil in it. That front seal is leaking pretty good there, so put that back in. I don't have an oil filler, so I have to pull out the PCV valve. You can see there. All right, it's probably gonna spark now because, of course, I burnt my new wires through like a retard. I shouldn't say the R word, like an idiot. I wonder now if it's gonna have too much timing because, well, I pulled it back a little bit, I guess. All right, see what happens. See what it sounds like when I try to fire her over here. Maybe way too much now. I don't know how much that would have changed it. I think I've tried this before and it never worked, but it should work. That means it had a ton of timing in it. Like when I switched the wires and I didn't turn it back enough. Maybe this is the best it's run in a long time. Alright, I see it. It hasn't. And even the last time I fired it up, it didn't run that good that easy, so back it out of the garage a little bit here. So I never fiddled with the timing or anything. I'm just going to back it up a little bit here so it doesn't stick up my house. The joys of having an attached garage. Power steering pump, I think, is junk on this thing now. It works when it feels like it. Sounds better under throttle there a little bit. Interesting. Still not super crisp though. Might just take it for a run down the block here. All right, take her out for a little burn here again and see what it feels like. Ah, those friggin' lifters and stuff are just rattly. It rained too, so it's like muddy in my yard. That's annoying. I don't remember exactly where I got this transmission from, but it's a Turbo 350. It was a Turbo 200 originally, and the only reason I changed it is because I used to go to the track all the time and the park brake didn't work and my emergency brake didn't work, so anytime I'd go to the track it was on a hill and you had to park
park for tech, and then I'd have to like reach around and like shove a block underneath the tires so it didn't roll away or whatever. And while the tech guys were walking around, I was like, at some point they're probably gonna give me grief. And it was kind of a little lazy through the gears too, kind of slipping, not slipping, but it was just kind of like hesitant. It got used a lot too. So I found like a junkyard 350. I think it was just somebody who was selling it privately, and I don't even think I knew anything about it, and they didn't either. And I threw it in here, and it was like, you can hear it in the videos, right? It'll bang second gear rubber, sometimes third. When it goes into drive, when it's just like when I'm just on street tires or whatever. So take it for a little cruise here. The valve train seems to be louder than it was before. Maybe I'm just paying more attention to it, I don't know. Out again. So what was happening when I first took it to the track, and then because I only drove it like a couple times before I sold it after this motor was built, but the rocker studs were backing themselves off, and they had, and you could hear it loud, they had dreadlock and everything on them, but they just for whatever reason they just keep backing themselves out. You can't get in there with anything like a socket, like a small edge socket won't even go in there, like a 12 point or something like that. That's how tight it is. So you have to get in there with an open wrench and kind of like turn it like a little bit, and then it's like almost wanting to round off the head. Like, it's like such a stupid design. I really should just buy a set of AFRs for it and be done with it. Just throw some AFRs. I mean, honestly, even like the generic brand, like the entry level AFRs have all the AFR hardware. I know they're like it's not their actual casting, but I know they would be a lot better. They flow about the same as these, but I mean, I don't think the valves are really working on these all the way open and closed, because how can they be when it keeps like rattling like that? That means there's play in the drivetrain, or in the valve train. And we pulled that apart last time, and it looked like the cam bearings were fine, and it seemed like the cam was fine, so what else is to go wrong? Like, I don't know if you can hear that, and that's how it was sounding, if you could hear that at all, but like really loud valve noise. And so that was like kind of the end of it. Like, by now I probably would have switched heads. Like, this car originally had before these heads, I just had steel heads on it. I went through a few different sets. It had factory, they're like 624s, which is basically an 882 with like a little better flow on the exhaust side, not much, just a little bit. And I ran those forever, and then I went to Fuelie heads, which is what ended up finally blowing up my motor. I just had too much compression, and you couldn't put any timing to it and whatever, so ended up knocking a hole in a piston. So I pulled it apart, took it to the machine shop, they put new pistons in it, honed it, and then I changed the cam at the same time, and that was about it. So still got stock rods and stock crank and stuff there, so I don't know. That is loud. Loud. I don't know. I'm gonna cruise around here a little bit anyways, and then see what happens. Alright, I don't know if you can hear that now, but that was not successful. Took it for a little burn there and tried to do another draggy pass, and you can hear it just sounds like every frickin' valve is rattling now. I don't get it, what's up with these heads or whatever it is, but obviously it is not happy. I made sure it had oil before I left there. I added like, I think it leaked out like a quart just a little bit of last time that we drove it there, so I'm going to head home. I just did a quick pass with it, goofing around or whatever. It didn't sputter this time, but I had the timing way back on it because I didn't want to make sure that everything was good first, so it would probably go quicker, but no sense in beating on it. It's not gonna be happy until it gets a different set of heads with some better valve springs and things like that. So going to rip it home here, I guess, and it's leaking oil really bad out of that front seal. It's like, I'm sure that's what it all was coming from, but again, don't know that, but yeah, it's not happy. So, drive her back home here and I guess see if we can't figure it out. Tempted just to order a set of heads for it and throw them on and see, but I'd have to take the intake back off and make sure everything's still good and the cam and lifters and all that stuff are still good. I don't know. It's definitely not opening the valves. You ain't gonna have any power if it's not opening the valves, so you can hear. I'm sure you guys can hear that in the video. It's like super loud in the valve train now. So pretty sure it's gonna be covered in oil now. Some nice undercarriage protection. But all right, check back with you guys later. Heading up the hill towards my glacier, it's like so rattly. Like, I mean, the car's only been driven for 15 minutes since we adjusted the valve, so. And it was totally quiet when we first fired it. Oh, I shouldn't say totally quiet, but it was definitely like, sounded like it was gonna be a lot better, but it's almost like the lifters pump up and then like something happens. I don't understand. Like, it should get tighter, not looser. The lifters are pumping up or whatever, so. I'm sure you guys can hear that, like it's freaking loud. And it's still got good oil pressure. It was getting a little bit warm earlier there, not hot, but it's like, well, I mean, that's pretty warm for this engine, 220. And it's hardly got like that much timing in it, so. You guys hear that now? It's so rattly. Like when you have way too much timing in it, but it's not that. It's just the lifters are literally that far out of whack. So, there you see it's back at 220 again. Not sure what's going on there. Just is not happy. I get it home, I'll check the oil again and stuff there. I know at least some, but like it's leaking, but it's not like it's not gonna leak out like freaking quart in 5 minutes. Like it's not leaking that bad, so get her home and give her a once over there. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on here. It's time to pull it out, freshen it up, swap it, whatever. But as I said, I want to LS swap this car anyways. I was hoping I could just goof around here. I mean, the density altitude today was like 134 feet or something like that. It would be a perfect day to get some good numbers in or whatever, but this car just does not want to let me run any quicker. It's always run the same. I've done so many upgrades. It ran so consistent for so long. I added more go fast parts and converters and like all this kind of stuff, and it just would not go any faster. Just whatever reason, it just always wanted to fight me there. And I know this engine has potential, whatever. I do regret that I didn't go with a bigger cam when I put this cam in there. I should have gone. It's only like a 490 lift. I should have gone like 525 or something. That's about. I think about 520 is what you could go safely with no real worries on these heads because of that canted valve angle there. So that's about the most you could do. But yeah. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for now. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. If I do anything else to this pile, I guess I'll record it and throw it in here. But I think I'm about the point I get to all the time with things there that it just frustrates me. So I'm pretty much giving up. I'm gonna see what I can figure out. I've been hunting down some LS parts and stuff there to see if I could get it changed over and do a little LS swap in it there. Shouldn't be that complicated. Probably carbed LS. I might just carb it first, run it, and then get it ready. I'd like to buy a boost ready bottom end, so all I have to do is basically put the turbo or whatever I'm going to do on it after I get it, but that's a whole nother story. So thanks for watching, guys. Catch you guys in the next one. Uh-oh, something's happening. Oops, that was out of nowhere. Ruh-roh. I think I came home when I did. Apparently it was just, I opened up the hood just to let it cool off there. Oh, I should throw this back on there. Oh, sorry about that. Throwing something over top of the intake there. Or the carb, sorry. Holy cow. In typical fashion, destroying my floor. I was just cleaning up tools there. Classic hoopty. Like, how does that even happen? This was a brand new radiator in this thing. It sounded like it was leaking over there before it started over here because I heard it steaming over there. I think it's time. Yeah, almost got a Jimmy Deal there. Well, that's nice. Fan-freaking-tastic. Hope a bunch of that didn't go in my carb. Walk around the other side. Holy cow, that stinks. I'm going to trip over a bunch of stuff here. Sounded like something. I wonder if it was just spraying onto the exhaust and that's what I heard at first. It's like, that's not good. Oh man, that reeks. All right.